Today, 11 countries officially announced they will stop using the U.S. dollar for trade. I mean, this could be just the beginning. Trump's relentless tariffs, sanctions, and reckless spending have weakened the dollar's strength. He may have once believed his policies would make America stronger, but now those very policies are pushing America out of the global financial spotlight. If the dollar loses its status as the global reserve currency, inflation will soar, prices will rise, and the purchasing power of ordinary Americans will decline. Your savings could lose value and your cost of living may skyrocket. Worse yet, the world is moving on without us. Countries once controlled by the dollar are now embracing their own currencies and stepping into the global trade arena with confidence. This shift isn't just about currency, it's about losing influence, losing power, and potentially losing our place in the world. How do you feel about the dollar's decline? Is it Trump's fault, or is this just the inevitable result of America's financial dominance fading away?
Shalom. I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to the brothers laboring worldwide in truth and sincerity. Salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect, believing on the words of Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi. This your brother Dawada here at the church in Birmingham, Alabama, coming at you with another lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. And as we see the scope of the world turn against the whore, these things are going to continue to increase. Now you have 11 countries, right, who have made the conscious effort to not deal with the dollar, okay? And this is all probably a part of biblical prophecy. You know, how you see these people, these other nations now looking at America like, is this the man, right? So they feel that America is on its decline. They can smell blood in the water. But that's what Yahawah purposed against Babylon. He was going to bring the calamities. Let's grab that. Okay. The Lord is bringing the calamities upon Esau. He's taking away this man's wisdom. So much so that they're erring in all their works, man. Lord willing, we're going to get that. This is Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 7. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Yeah, their wisdom is vanished. You know? Yeah, Trump putting all these tariffs on these different nations, and it's causing them to actively seek out not dealing with the dollar. Okay? And as it mentioned in that video, these things can cause inflation. Well, we already have inflation, but it's also going to cause what? Hyperinflation, man. You see? Where your goods are going to be at a price you're not going to be able to deal with. See, that's part of these perilous times we're entering, man. You see? It says, flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of the Dan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him the time that I will visit him. See that? And we're clearly in the visitation of Yahawah upon Esau, man. Okay? And these are calamities that we're seeing, they're going to increase. Let's get this word calamity. Okay? Word calamity. It says distress, right? With these other nations not wanting to deal with the dollar is going to bring distress upon America, Babylon the Great. It says burden, calamity. Burden of the righteous, calamity of nation, right? So now you have 11 countries, and Lord willing, we're going to go back to that article, all right, and list off these 11 countries who's not going to deal with the dollar anymore. It says disaster of the wicked, and that's what's going to be the conclusion. See, all these things are leading up until America, Babylon the Great being destroyed. Okay? It says day of calamity, right? And that's what we fastly approaching, man. Now in the Strongs, it says in the sense of bending down. You see that? So now you're no longer erect, man. You're no longer firm in your stance and being the global power. It says oppression, by implication, misfortune, ruin. And when these nations stop dealing with the dollar, it's going to bring forth the ruin of America, Babylon the Great, man. Okay? It says, farewell the dollar. You will no longer be able to pay with it, and it will no longer be valid in these 11 countries. The United States is not going through its best economic moment, and let's be honest, our currency has gone from leading the global economy to being one of the most decisive moments in our history. Everything is changing. See that? We know, Salakia, we know that, and so are other countries economically. It's clear the world is moving toward a place we don't yet know, and geopolitical, pronounced that incorrect. It says tensions are making each country play its own cards. See that? So they ain't playing by the game that America has set up anymore, man. You see? It says 11 countries have announced they will stop using the dollar in 2025. We're going to tell you everything we know about the practical global decision and whether we are facing the end of the dollar's global reign. Yeah, that's biblical prophecy, man. When this fiat currency go out, they're going to try and introduce what? This digital currency, which is eventually going to be that micro C-hip, man. You see? It says, what is happening with the dollar? As you know, the dollar in the U.S. currency, and until now, the dollar is the U.S. currency. And until now, it has ruled the world economy, being the most influential currency on the planet since World War II, when it began to consolidate as the main international reserve currency. Basically, all countries use it to support their economies. Also, we must take into account that 80% of global trade is conducted in dollars, such as the purchase of oil and other raw materials. And Salaki, I need to crank up my vehicle. It's a little warm. Please bear with me. Right? So you can see how this thing is being planned out, man. And plenty of what they call them, prognosticators have said that America are more to the point, Trump is doing all this thing to actually crash the dollar, man, which is tied up with 80% of global trade. And these countries use it to support their economies. So once the dollar is gone, what's going to be the next thing, man? That digital currency, man. Okay? Which is going to be tied to the micro C-hip. You see? It says, now 11 countries have decided to set the dollar aside and stop using it in their territories to strengthen their own local currencies, instead of giving more power to the dollar. See that? So you got these certain countries now, and we're going to go off the list, okay, who's no longer going to use the dollar in their local currency, man. Okay? It says Is this a definite goodbye to the dollar? We're not we're not talking about an immediate goodbye. Yeah, everything is gradualism, man. Everything gradually goes out. See? It says, but it is a statement of intent. The dominance of the dollar will not disappear overnight. It would take a lot for that to happen. However, experts like Joyce Chang, chair of global research at J.P. Morgan, explain that it could take decades before we see these changes fully. But you know, Esau know if he had but a short time, so he ain't got a decade, man. Okay? He's got to rush these things through. And that's why you see Trump doing all this, these certain tariffs, these certain trade deals that he says he's making, but he's really not making, you know? It is to bring forth the weakening of the dollar so this thing could crash, man. It says, but signs are of weakening, are already beginning to show. See that? Lord willing, I'll leave this article. It's pretty lengthy. In a description box, you know. But here, listen to the countries. And this is spiritual, man. It says, this information probably won't surprise you at all. But it will be the former Soviet republics, right? The Lord is putting hooks in the jaws of Magog. See that? It says those countries that were part of the old USSR that will stop using the dollar in their international transactions. You see that? See? It says Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Jeez, and the Lord knows I'm so lucky for pronouncing these wrong, you know. Uzbekistan and Ukraine. And Ukraine, man. You giving all this damn money to Ukraine and they're not going to use the dollar internationally anymore, man. You see that? It says, with this change, these 11 countries aim to create a stronger, more resilient economy bloc through local transactions in their own currency. See that? Well, all of this is symptoms of Yahawah taking the wisdom away from Esau, man. What is that? He's going to drive the... Let's grab that. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Right? And it's beautiful, man. What does the scripture say? He that liveth, let's grab that real quick. Let's grab this Ezekiel. Have it on deck. What is that? Ecclesiasticus chapter 25. Right? Yup. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 25 and verse 7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th will I utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. You see that? So yeah, this is joyous to us. Why? Because we seeing the fall of our enemy, man. Man, that's beautiful, man. But it starts with the Lord drying up this wisdom, man. See, that was the catalyst to us coming out of power, man. The Lord took away our wisdom, you know. And he's doing the same thing to Esau. We just read it in Jeremiah 49. Is wisdom no more intimate? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Yeah, their wisdom is vanished, man. Ezekiel chapter 17 and verse 24. And all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree. Now, these trees can represent trees, but they also can represent nations and men. Okay? Let's prove that real quick. Let's go to St. Mark, chapter 8, And, yep. Let's see. 36. Please bear with me. Yep, verse 24. St. Mark chapter 8 and verse 24. You know what? I'm going to get all of this. Start at verse 22. And he come up to Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man unto him, and he brought him to touch him. And besought him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. See that? So, as nations and men could also be known as trees in the scriptures, man. Okay? Ezekiel chapter 17. Oh, what is that? Man, it's another one too. I want to say in Isaiah, you know, referring to these nations as trees, you know. This is Ezekiel chapter 17 and verse 24. Oh, you shall know them by their fruit. Right? Ezekiel chapter 17 and verse 24. And all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree. Yeah, who's the high tree? Esau, Edom, man. Right now, he's that green bay tree that have spread himself, right? What it causes wickedness to be pushed forth into all the earth. Paraphrasing 2 Ezra 15, you know. It says, have exalted the low tree. Yeah, who is that low tree? The children of Israel, man. More importantly, the elect of the children of Israel. That's who the Lord is exalting. Oh, they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon all them that saw them. Paraphrasing, you know. Oh, Revelations 11. It says, and have dried up the green tree. Yeah, who was the green tree? Esau, Edom, man. So that wisdom is being dried up. Okay? And have made the dry tree to flourish. Again, that dry tree, all right, is Israel. More important, the elect of the children of Israel. Remember the valley of the dry bones. Okay? And now we're being satiated with this living water while the Lord is drying up Esau. You see? It says, and have made the dry tree to flourish. I, the Lord, have spoken and have done it. See that? So it's written in stone. The Lord had already executed this. It's just playing out over time, man. Okay? And we're witnessing these things. You see? Let's get this and close it out. Because, yeah, the Lord is causing this place to err, man. You know? All bad decisions. This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 14. The Lord have mingled up a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. Yeah, this is talking about America, Babylon the Great, man. Spiritual Sodom, spiritual Egypt, you know. Also Joel 3 and 19, where the Lord mentions Edom and Egypt in the same breath. Also the land of our captivity, pursuing to what? Deuteronomy 28 and 68, man. Okay? So this Egypt that the Lord is causing to err in every work thereof is America, Babylon the Great, man. Oh, you can jump up in the chapter, all right, and read what the Lord is going to come into Egypt, and all the items are going to be moved. Yeah, this Egypt is talking about America, Babylon the Great. You see? It says, as a drunken man staggereth in his own vomit, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or branch or rush may do. And that's what we're seeing, man. We're seeing Trump making all these unwise decisions, okay, and it's causing the system, the economy to fail, man. So much so you got over 1.5 million people that have been laid off from the federal government, you know, and everything else that is going over to the public sector, man. So you see where the Lord is now executing his judgment beautifully, you know. Yeah, Lord willing, this lesson has been edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Lord willing, come next you with another lesson. Till the next time, I say Shalom.